So I am the Victim Services Coordinator at the Grand Rapids Police Department, like you said.
hanyuma nkaba nshinzwe gufatanya na polisi yo muri Grande Rapide ku bantu bahohotewe nkabaha ubuvugizi.
My whole role is to support people who have been victims of crime.
Hanyuma muri gahunda yanjye mba mfite mu cyihutirwa mba mfite gufasha abakorewe ibyaha nkabafasha.
I think sometimes people don't know that there are a lot of resources if you have experienced crime.
Abantu ntabwo bajya bamenya ko hari amakuru menshi agendanye n'ibyaha cyangwa ku bakorewe ibyaha.
So, one of the biggest things that I've noticed in my work is that everybody has a different understanding of what they think the criminal justice system looks like.
Abantu ko nabibonye bafite imyumvire itandukanye n'ibyaha biba byabaye byakozwe.
So, advocates' role is a lot of education around what you can expect and also what help exists and making those connections.
Ubundi ubuvugizi bwacu objective yacu ni ukugira ngo tukumvishe uburenganzira bwawe n'inzira wanyuramo kugira ngo uhabwe ubwo burenganzira wambuwe.
So, has anybody ever had contact with an advocate or know of any of the advocates in the community?
Ese hari umuntu muri mwe wigeze wenda ashakisha ubufasha ku bantu batandukanye bafite ubwo buvugizi?
No? Okay.
Yeah, in US?
Huh?
Yeah, in US now.
Here in Grand Rapids?
Hano muri Grande
No? No? Okay. So there's different types of advocates. And so you have me who's in the police department.
hari ubwoko butandukanye bw'ubuvugizi, hari byerekeranye, hari muri polisi ubuvugizi bugendanye n'ibya polisi.
I can help with things like I mentioned, education, also applying for crime victim compensation, or being present to make things more comfortable and making sure rights are upheld with the law enforcement side.
Hari n'ubuvugizi bwerekeranye n'ibyangijwe se ibyo wabujijwe cyangwa ibyo wangirijwe ubisubizwa gute cyangwa se ibyerekeranye n'amategeko agendana n'ibyo byaha byabaye.
Am I going slow enough or more slow? Okay. So there's also advocates in the prosecutor's office.
Hanyuma hari n'ubuvugizi cyangwa gusobanurirwa uko ibyaha bigenzurwa.
If an investigation is passed on to the prosecutor and the prosecutor approves charges, victims of certain crimes can get services through those advocates in the prosecutor's office.
Hanyuma ibyaha abagenzacyaha bagenzura ibyaha bamara kugenzura ibyaha bagakorana n'abo bantu bashinzwe ubuvugizi bakareba icyaha uko cyagenze.
There are also community-based advocates that are, you might hear of the YWCA or Safe Haven for domestic violence or other forms of violence as well.
Nabyo hari ibyaha bigendana no ibyaha bibera nko mu ngo aribyo bita violence bibera mu ngo, intonganya cyangwa ibindi byaha bitandukanye bibera mu miryango nabyo babibafashamo.
With community-based advocates, as soon as the crime happens, whether you report to police or not, you can get help.
Hari n'ukuntu ibyaha biba bakwereka uburyo utanga ayo makuru kubo bireba nka polisi n'abandi.
With my services in the department, you typically report to police, and I start helping at that point.
Hanyuma rero nk'akazi kanjye mu byo dushinzwe ni ukuvuga ngo iyo tumaze kumenya ayo makuru duhita tugufasha kuyamenyesha polisi.
But I have had people too that don't feel comfortable talking to police alone, and they've reached out to me to have me there and try to make it a more comfortable experience for them too.
Hari abantu baba bumva batorohewe cyangwa bitaboroheye kuvugana na polisi ubwabo, noneho banyura kuri we noneho akabafasha kugira ngo bavugane na polisi ababwire ikibazo afite.
No matter if, you talk to the police to make the report and decide to move forward, or if you decide you don't want to participate in the case anymore, I can still help, whatever your decision.
Icyemezo wafata icyo ari cyo cyose, kuvugana na polisi bikagarukiraho, kuvugana na polisi hanyuma urubanza mbese ikese yawe igakomeza ikajya bakayoriyanta aho igomba kugera, nabyo byose tubigufasha.
The biggest takeaways I want everybody in this room to know is one, that there is crime victim compensation through the state. I'll let you go.
Rero mugomba kumenya, nkamwe muri hano mugomba kumenya ko niba hari amakosa wakorewe, hari nk'impozamarira cyangwa ikintu gisimbura cya cyaha wakorewe, noneho bakakwishyura ibyangijwe.
So if you are harmed by crime physically, emotionally, or psychologically, there may be some financial assistance for you.
Niba hari ubufasha bukenewe bigendanye na niba wagize ihungabana, niba ukeneye ubufasha butandukanye ku byerekeranye n'uko wahungabanyijwe, ibyo byose babigufashamo.
So, for example, if you're assaulted and you have medical bills, or you have mobility needs, or want counseling, those things are things that might be covered with crime victim compensation.
Nk'urugero, wakubiswe cyangwa wahungabanyije, wajyanywe kwa muganga, izo fagitire zigendanye no kuvurwa, ubujyanama ku ihungabana, ibyo byose izo fagitire zose bagufasha ku buryo uzishyuza.
Lost wages may be another part of a benefit that could be available. There's many.
Hari ibindi nko ku rundi ruhande n'ibyerekeranye n'amafaranga nabyo bakabireba.
The other thing that I really want people to walk away with is that victims have rights.
Hanyuma hari n'ibikorwa umuntu yakora icyaha akabaragiye, hanyuma uwakorewe icyaha hari uburenganzira bwe nk'uwakorewe icyaha.
So with rights, you have the right to notification.
Uburenganzira bwo kumenyesha.
If someone is arrested in the case, you have a right to be notified if they're released or if their custody status changes.
Ugomba kumenyeshwa niba uwo muntu wakoze icyaha yafashwe, yafunzwe se, ibyo byose ayo makuru agomba kumenyekana.
You have the right as well to, if the case goes to court, confer with prosecution.
Ufite uburenganzira niba urwo rubanza rwagiye mu rukiko cyangwa rurimo kugenzurwa n'abagenzacyaha bakurikirana urwo rubanza.
Also to be reasonably protected in the process and to be respected in the process.
Kandi muri icyo gihe cy'urubanza cyangwa cyo gukurikirana iyo dosiye, uba usa naho urinzwe cyangwa umutekano wawe urubahirizwa, bakamenya ngo ubayeho neza.
That's a big part of what I try to help with, is making sure that people's voices are represented in this process.
Kandi rero icyo gihe uruhare runini ni ukumenya ngo ese uwo muntu arimo gufashwa mu byerekeranye n'ubufasha bwo guhagararirwa mu kugira ngo ijwi rye cyangwa icyo yifuza kuvuga kigere aho kigomba kugera.
And when you're working with myself or with the police, I also encourage, if you're more comfortable speaking in a different language or understanding a different language, that you ask for an interpreter, because we do have access to them too.
Urimo gukorana nanjye cyangwa ukorana na polisi muri icyo gihe cyo kugenzura icyaha, turamenya ngo ese uyu muntu avuga uruhe rurimi kugira ngo tumufashe kubona umusemuzi nyawe uvuga ururimi rwiwe.
I know, I speak, Spanish as well, but if I was in a legal proceeding, I would want English. Like, no matter how well you speak, Sometimes you just want your native language, and that's fine.
nkanjye mvuga icyongereza ariko bibaye ngombwa igisipanyoro nacyo ariko icyongereza nicyo ngomba kuvugamo neza.
So it's about how you feel best about the process, not what you think we need from you. We can work with you, and that's what we should be doing.
Mbese dukora ku buryo wumva wisanzuye mu rurimi rwawe kuko tuba dushaka dukore neza uko wifuza.
Okay. So I know, victims' rights, crime victim compensation, and then service-wise, I can talk a bit about that if you all want to know the specifics.
Yes.
Okay.
Kureba uwo wakorewe icyaha uburenganzira bwe, ibyifuzo bye, hanyuma tukamenya icyo tugomba kumufasha.
Okay. So the specific services that almost every advocacy place offers are, I'll let you start.
Tureba buri muntu mbese ubuvugizi bwacu tukareba ibyo akeneye muri ubwo gufashwa.
Education on rights,
Kwigishwa uburenganzira bwe,
emotional support,
kureba niba hari ihungabana yagize tukagira uko tumufashamo.
connections to resources to meet your needs after the crime,
Kumuhuza n'abantu bitewe n'ubufasha akeneye ku cyabaye.
assistance with the crime victim compensation application,
Kumufasha guhabwa indishyi yo kugira ngo ahabwe ingurane y'ibyangijwe cyangwa ibyo yakorewe.
assistance with a program called the Address Confidentiality Program,
Hanyuma hari porogaramu yitwa mbese tubikora muri gahunda yo kuvuga ngo ibintu bikozwe mu ibanga nta wundi ayo makuru aba ari hagati y'abo bantu bombi.
and assistance with PP or personal protection order requests as well.
Hanyuma tugasaba n'ubufasha bwo kuwo bihagaze.
So I'm a private immigration lawyer.
Nkaba nikorera ndi umwavoka ukora mu byerekeranye wigenga ukora mu byerekeranye n'abinjira n'abasohoka.
I've been doing this work for about 9 years.
Nkaba nkoze aka kazi imyaka 9 yose.
And I concentrate on cases for humanitarian relief.
Hanyuma nkaba nibanda cyane ku byerekeranye n'ubumenyabuntu cyangwa kwibanda ku bantu imibereho yabo.
So the types of cases that I handle include asylum.
Ariko muri ibyo byose nkaba nkora no ku byerekeranye gutanga asylum, no kuvuga gufasha umuntu kwemererwa ubuhunzi.
And special immigration remedies available to victims of crime.
Cyane cyane ku muntu wagiriwe uhohoterwa uwo tumwibandaho cyane.
And people who are the victim of human trafficking.
Nk'umuntu wakorewe guhohoterwa abantu mu icuruzwa ry'abantu.
So I help people apply for relief.
Hanyuma tubafasha kugira ngo basabe ubwo burenganzira bwabo.
I also defend people when they have a case in immigration court.
Hanyuma tugafasha n'abantu barimo gusaba gutura cyangwa ubuhungiro mu nkiko.
And I help them prepare a defense to deportation.
Tugafasha n'abantu bagize ikibazo cyo gushaka gusubizwa mu bihugu baturutsemo.
Okay. Now, the first thing that I want to tell all of you
Icyo nshaka kubabwira mwese hano
is that you all have constitutional rights.
mufite itegeko rirengera uburenganzira bwanyu.
It doesn't matter your immigration status,
Ntacyo biba bivuze ku byerekeranye n'icyo uri cyo hano,
nor does it matter where you're from.
aho waturutse, icyo uri cyo.
Everybody here is protected by the U.S. Constitution.
buri wese hano hari itegeko rya Amerika, itegeko nshinga rirengera umuntu hano.
That means that you have the right to silence.
Ufite n'uburenganzira rero bwo guceceka.
If law enforcement or immigration enforcement asks where you're from,
Niba hari umuntu ushinzwe amategeko cyangwa ugenga abinjira n'abasohoka akubajije ibibazo icecekera umwihorero.
you don't have to answer them.
Ntabwo ugomba kumusubiza rwose.
Or you could say you're from Grand Rapids,
Ushobora kuvuga ngo mva muri Grand Rapids gusa
because this is where you live and this is where you belong.
kuko ariho uba ariho mwahuriye,
And this is your community.
kuko niho umuryango wawe uri.
Okay? The other thing that I want you to know
Ikindi mugomba kumenya
is that local police is different from ICE.
kuko abapolisi baratandukanye abaho utuye n'ahandi.
Your local police's job
Akazi k'abapolisi baho utuye
is to maintain public safety.
nako kurinda umutekano w'abaturage.
ICE's job is immigration enforcement.
Hanyuma rero n'abandi bakaba bashinzwe abinjira n'abasohoka.
Therefore, your local police does not have the power to deport you.
Kuko abo bapolisi baho utuye nta burenganzira bafite bwo kugusubiza aho waturutse.
Also, if you are a victim of crime,
Nubwo waba wakoze icyaha,
you have the right to file a police report.
wakorewe icyaha bagomba gukurikiza raporo ya polisi.
And as a victim of crime, you are entitled to rights.
Hanyuma n'abakorewe icyaha nabo bafite uburenganzira bwo gukurikirana uburenganzira bwabo.
And your immigration status does not matter.
Ntabwo stati yawe ya immigration hari aho biba bihuriye.
Even if you do encounter ICE or immigration enforcement,
Nubwo waba icyo waba uri cyo cyose, stati yawe abo bantu ba immigration baba bagomba kugufasha kukurwanaho.
one of those rights, as I said earlier, is a right to remain silent.
Nkuko nabivuze, mu burenganzira bwawe uhabwa harimo uburenganzira wemerewe bwo kuba waceceka.
You also don't have to let them into your home.
Ntabwo bafite uburenganzira bwo kugusubiza aho waturutse.
Unless they have a warrant that is signed by a judge.
Keretse ufite kiriya cyemezo gitangwa n'umucamanza cyo guhagarikwa cyangwa gufatwa.
Which they almost never have.
Igihe batabifite rero,
Usually they have a paper that's a civil detainer.
haba hari ubwo baba bafite impapuro zibaha ubwo burenganzira.
This does not permit them to enter your home.
Ntabwo bafite uburenganzira bwo kwinjirira mu nzu.
So in your hands, you have been given a red card.
Baba bafite agakarita, dufite agakarita kano k'umutuku.
On one side, there is a message in English,
Hari uruhande rufite icyongereza,
which you can show in your window.
ushobora kukabereka igihe uri mu nzu.
Or if you are stopped,
Mu idirishya.
yep, or if you are stopped by immigration enforcement.
Cyangwa uhagaritswe bagufashe,
And this says that you do not permit them to enter your home,
ntabwo bafite uburenganzira bwo kukwinjirira mu nzu,
that you do not permit them to search you,
ntabwo bafite uburenganzira bwo kugusaka,
and you are exercising your Fourth Amendment right to remain silent.
ugomba gukora buriya burenganzira uhabwa n'itegeko nshinga buvuga ngo ufite uburenganzira bwo guceceka, babwita Fourth Amendment.
And you want to speak to a lawyer.
Ufite uburenganzira bwo kuvugana n'umwavoka.
Okay? So, what else am I missing?
Ni iki nibagiwe?
Like to talk a little bit about MERC, which is the Michigan Immigrants Rights Center. We handed out our cards. These are our cards.
Aka gakarita rero,
We have offices throughout the state, and at the bottom, oh sorry.
niho ofisi iherereye.
At the bottom, we have our intake line.
reba ahagana hasi.
And if anyone has any questions, this phone number is, someone will pick up and will provide you, like a response, and it will be free. You don't have to pay for it.
Hano hariho nimero ya telefone ufite ikibazo wahamagara biba ari ubuntu biba ari free ntabwo bakwishyuza ukavuga ikibazo cyawe.
We also have a intake line for people who are detained.
Hari nk'umuntu wenda uba wafashwe agafungwa.
And it's important that when someone is detained that the family provides the person's real name, so we're able to connect them with their family.
Umuryango ushobora kuduhamagara ukatubwira amazina noneho tukagenda tugasanga uwo muntu afungiye kugira ngo tumuhe ubwo bufasha.
Okay.
Question.
igihe nagize ikibazo akamubwira ko mwese umufasha cyangwa
If someone detained, he has to pay or is it free?
No, it's free.
No.
They can actually call them for free from jail.
Baramuhamagara muri gereza bahamagara umuryango wabo kugira ngo ubwo bufasha akenewe babumuhe ku buntu.
They also need to know to never sign anything without a lawyer.
Kandi nta kintu ugomba cy'urupapuro bakubwira ngo sinya ngo wemere uzajya wabwira uti hatari umwavoka ntabwo nasinya.
Even if somebody is detained, and even if they have criminal history,
Niyo yaba afunze yarakoze icyaha gikomeye ntabwo bamuha ibintu ngo bisinye ngo abyemere.
they still have rights.
Afite uburenganzira.
They have the right to ask for bail.
Afite uburenganzira bwo kusaba kurekurwa.
And they have the right to apply for relief in immigration court.
Afite uburenganzira bwo gusaba guhabwa abamufasha bo kuri immigration.
Okay. And they can talk to Michigan Immigrant Rights Center for free advice on that.
Ashobora gusaba guhabwa ubufasha bw'ubujyanama ku buntu nta kiguzi.
The other thing that you should know is there's a lot of fraud in immigration as well.
Kandi mumenye yuko hari abantu biyitirira imirimo badakora bagakora ibitagendanye n'ibyo ba.
Merck has a list of qualified attorneys.
Agomba kuba ari umuntu wabiherewe uburenganzira bwemewe n'amategeko.
So they can refer people to an attorney.
Bohereza abantu ku bavoka babigenewe bafite uburenganzira.
So that you can avoid immigration fraud.
The way we deal with the police back home and the way we deal with the police here in Atlanta, in Michigan, in the United States is different. So when you stop us outside, back home, you just get out in your car and then you talk to the police. Here, different.
Yes.
So they need to know these will be ambassadors, and then maybe potentially we invite you in the community outreach events in our communities to talk more about this. But we need to have that content, how the American system law enforcement works, so that it can just transfer this information to the communities as well.
Yari arimo kubabwira ko systeme yo muri Afurika y'iwacu n'Amerika bitandukanye. Nk'urugero iyo hano baguhagaritse ntabwo ari kimwe n'iyo bagufashe uri iwacu iyo bagufashe uva mu modoka ukajya kuvugana nabo. Hano biratandukanye. Nibyo yari arimo kubasobanurira mu magambo makeya.
Very good.
Okay.
Yep. And that's why we're here. We want to be
Niyo
able
mpamvu
to
turi
tell
hano.
you what we do differently from where you may come from.
Turi hano kugira ngo tubahe amakuru butewe n'aho waturutse.
And we want to build that trust with you and your communities.
Tuba tugira ngo twizerane hagati yacu namwe.
Because here in West Michigan, we serve everybody that's in our community the same.
Kuko rwose nka muri Grande Rapide tubaha ubufasha kimwe n'ahandi hose.
And we'll start right away with Captain Williams talking about some of your main concerns you had, how to interact with law enforcement here in West Michigan.
Hanyuma Katari bubabwira uburyo iyo uhuye n'umupolisi bigenda bite hano muri dutuye.
So, good morning. Thank you for being here.
Mwakoze kuza.
So, we did pass out a couple pieces of paper.
Twabahaye impapuro zimwe na zimwe.
The first one is a map.
Urwa mbere ni map nk'uko mubibona.
And I just want you to understand that there's different jurisdictions, there's different police departments, and how those are connected to each other.
hari ahantu hatandukanye ibiro by'abapolisi aho bigiye biri ni gute dukorana na aho hantu hatandukanye.
So the whole map is Kent County. That's the county that you live in right now.
Ubu ngubu aho turi hitwa muri Kent County niho turi ubu ngubu.
The smaller little colored portions are the small agencies, the small cities within Kent County.
Hanyuma mu tujyi duto duto niho bita Kent County.
So right now you're in Grand Rapids. It's towards the bottom. It's the green. It's the large green
Turi muri
area.
Grand Rapids murebe aho hari muri icyatsi kibisi ni hanini niho muri Grand Rapids.
So if you ever need police, and if it's an emergency, like you're being hurt or someone's trying to threaten you or someone's in the act of committing a crime, you always want to call 911. That's universal regardless of where you live, where you are right now.
Ubundi muri rusange yaba ari umuntu wakoze icyaha, yaba ari umuntu warwanye, yaba ari umuntu wahohoteye undi, muri rusange hahamagarwa inimero imwe yitwa 911 911.
But if you have something that you want to report that's not an emergency, you want to contact the police department that crime happened.
Ariko igihe atari ikintu cyihutirwa iyo ari icyaha cyabaye wegera polisi y'aho icyaha cyabereye akaba ariho ubaha amakuru.
On the back of the map is all the police departments in Kent County, so you know how to contact us.
Hanyuma rero iyi liste ya ofisi y'aho ubuyobozi bwa polisi bukorera bitewe n'aho uri niho ugenda ukajya kubabwira ikibazo cyawe.
So regardless of which agency you contact, our job is to enforce local law and state law.
Aho wagana hariho hose wagana udusanga icyo bakora bagufasha bakurikije amategeko agenga aho ngaho ibyo biro biherereye.
And even though we work at different departments, there's going to be there's similarities, universal ways in which we act.
Nubwo dukorera mu bice bitandukanye ariko amabwiriza cyangwa uburyo dukoreramo busa naho buba ari bumwe.
We will not come into your home unless you invite us in or we have a search warrant signed by a judge.
Ntabwo tujya tuza mu rugo rwawe keretse uduhamagaye cyangwa dufite igipapuro kiza kugusaka kiduha uburenganzira bwo kwinjira iwawe.
Also, another way that you might interact with police officers are on traffic stops.
Cyangwa se uri mu muhanda ugiranye ibibazo na polisi kubera ibibazo byabereye mu muhanda.
So the other piece of paper that we passed out what explains exactly what we want you to do, how we want you to act on a traffic stop, and how you can expect what you can expect from us on a traffic stop.
Hanyuma urundi rupapuro
urunguru
this one
urupapuro rusemuye mu Kinyarwanda.
This one Kinyarwanda ni uruvuga igihe uhuye ugiranye ibibazo n'abo bayobozi ese ni gute mwaganira ese ubiyumvamo gute iyo baje bagusanga.
Your experience in Kinyarwanda might be very different than it is here, like Jado was saying.
Nkuko yabivuze iby'iwanyu by'ibinyarwanda bitandukanye n'ibya hano.
And I would like you to read this whole thing and to keep it in your car, but there's a couple things that I'd like to highlight that I think is very important.
Niyo mpamvu nkubwira ngo uru rupapuro rugumane mu modoka yawe buzagufasha imyitwarire igihe uzabukubitanye nabo.
Jado said something about it back in your homeland. When a police officer pulled you over, you got out of the car as a respect thing to talk to them.
Nkuko yabivuze ngo iwanyu iyo polisi guhagaritse uva mu modoka ukagenda ubasanga mu buryo bwo kububaha ariko hano siko bimeze.
In America, we want you to stay in the car. So if you get pulled over, we want you to pull to the right and stay in your car.
Muri Amerika iyo baguhagaritse ushyira imodoka ku ruhande ukaguma mu modoka yawe.
Another thing that's very important is to understand what the officer is going to be asking of you. So he may not speak Kinyarwandan, he likely will not. So he's going to ask you or she's going to ask you for a driver's license, registration, and insurance.
birumvikana ko ugufasha atavuga ikinyarwanda iyo aguhagaritse ibibazo akubaza perimi yo gutwara n'ubwishingizi bw'ikinyabiziga.
You need to give those 3 things to the officer.
Ugomba kubimuhereza uko yabigusabye.
Did you say something? Oh, okay. Also on traffic stops, it's important that if you do not speak English, that you communicate or ask for an interpreter of the officer.
Ugomba kubwira uwo mupolisi ugufashe niba utavuga icyongereza ukamubwira uti nkeneye umusomuzi ntamvuga ikinyarwanda gusa.
It's in red right here, this bullet point.
Biri hano hasi.
You may not speak English, but you need to say interpreter, Kinyarwanda.
Uvuze gusa hano hasi muri aha hantu h'umutuku ngo umusemuzi w'ikinyarwanda ahita amenya icyo ushatse kuvuga.
Or if you have this in your car, you can point to it.
Cyangwa iyo ufite mu modoka yawe ukamwereka ugatunga urutoki uti ahangaha uti
If you get a ticket and you don't understand, you can either ask for an interpreter or contact the court and have an interpreter explain what's going on.
Igihe baguhaye itike uragenda niba wajya ku rukiko ukavuga ngo baguhe umusemuzi yaba igihe urimo kuganira n'uwo nguwo iguhaye uramubwira uti umusemuzi.
And that brings up another point. Every jurisdiction, every agency has a different court.
Buri uko hano bareba buri ibi biro byabo bigiye bikorana n'inkiko zitandukanye.
You have to look at the ticket and it will tell you which agency and which court you have to contact for the ticket.
Ku itike haba handi.
I try to put it up there. You know, prosecutor is an elected official. I'm an elected Kent County prosecutor.
Hanyuma nkaba naratorewe kugenzura ibyaha byo mu mujyi cyangwa hano mu mujyi cyangwa muri Kent County.
And we're essentially responsible. We work with the police.
Akazi kanjye kakaba ari ako gukorana na polisi.
And we will charge offenses that the police bring to us.
Hanyuma umuntu tumuhamya icyaha twazaniwe na polisi.
So I represent the people of the state of Michigan.
Hanyuma nkaba mpagarariye cyangwa mvugira mu izina ry'abaturage ba Michigan.
But what that really means is I kind of represent a victim of a crime.
Ntibimbuza guhagararira uwakorewe icyaha.
So you can see us in 2 different ways.
Nkora mu buryo bubiri butandukanye.
We could charge you with a crime.
Ngushinja icyaha.
So I'm against you in court. Or you're the victim of a crime. And I'm your lawyer. You don't need to hire your own lawyer. So I'm going to talk more about that. I'm responsible for all of Kent County. So I can't deal with all the crimes in Kent County by myself, right? So I have 37 assistant prosecutors who I kind of delegate to do the work, a lot of the work. And it's not only crimes that our office handles. A big part of it is also child support. So if you're a mom, you have a child out of wedlock, we can get the dad to pay child support. So we'll establish, that's really the dad. And then how much money should he owe you to support your child and support his child? And it also helps the dad because then he has rights to visit the child. That's his child, right?
abafite uburenganzira bwo gusura abana nabyo tukabimufasha.
We also have a juvenile division,
Tukaba dufite n'uruhande rwo kuvugira abana batoya.
which is responsible for juvenile crimes, the juvenile kids under 18,
Ngo abana batoya bo mu myaka yo hasi bakoze ibyaha nabyo turabibafashamo.
and also with parental neglect. And also with parental neglect.
Hanyuma tukagendana n'ibyo byaha byakozwe kugira ngo turebe ko tubafasha.
So if a parent's not taking care of their child properly,
Kuko hari ababyeyi badafata abana batarera abana uko bigomba.
we can remove the child. We're responsible for maybe taking the child out of the house,
Dufata abana batarerwa uko bigomba tukagira aho tubajyana kubarera mu nzu zabigenewe.
trying to get the parents the help they need to be good parents.
Noneho ababyeyi batabishoboye tukabaha ababyeyi babishoboye kurera.
And getting the child back into that home with their parents.
Hanyuma tukazagera igihe tukasubiza ababyeyi igihe bibaye ngombwa.
So I got a picture. That's our office downtown. That's 82 Ionia. If you're ever downtown, you know where the prosecutor's office is.
Hari ibiro byacu buri muri Ionia muri downtown niho dukorera.
So I want to present a little bit about if you're a victim of a crime, because we represent victims. What do you do?
Nshaka kubasobanurira muri make igihe wakorewe icyaha ni iki gikorwa tugufasha.
And the first thing is you got to file a police report.
Icyambere tukurikiza raporo ya polisi.
Don't call our office directly. We can't do anything.
Wimpamagara nta kintu nzagufasha rwose.
We rely on the police to investigate a crime.
Dukurikije tunyura muri polisi kugira ngo tugenzure cyaha cyakozwe.
So they investigate a crime and then present a report to our office, and we make a decision on that report.
Hanyuma turagenda tukajya kugenzura cyaha tukazana raporo tukaza muri ofisi yacu tukareba uko icyaha cyagenze.
So the biggest thing for you, when you call the police and file a report, be honest.
Kandi igihe cyose uhamagaye polisi urimo kubabwira uko ibintu byagenze babwiza ukuri.
The police are there to help you,
Polisi bazagufasha rwose.
and it's most important that we prosecutors get good information that we can rely on.
Nkatwe abagenzacyaha tuba dushaka amakuru nyayo yuzuye kugira ngo tubashe kugenza icyaha.
So give them all the information you have.
Duha amakuru yose waba ufite kugira ngo bidufashe.
If you have other witnesses, your friends, your neighbors saw what happened.
Niba ufite abatangabuhamya, abaturanyi, inshuti bazane.
Tell the police that, because that's evidence we need, the prosecutor needs.
Bibwira abapolisi kuko ibyo bimenyetso turabikeneye kugira ngo tugenze icyaha neza.
Sometimes they may even arrest that person if they have enough evidence right there.
Kimwe n'uko hari ubwo aho bafatiye uwo muntu ibimenyetso bihari byuzuye bihagije.
But sometimes they got to wait for us to make the decision to file a charge.
Ubwo rero ariko natwe biba bitureba kugira ngo dufate icyemezo kuri ibyo byaha byagenzwe.
So this is Kent County. This is all of Kent County.
Uyu ni umujyi wa Kent County.
So it's important to know where to file a report and what court to go to.
Hanyuma icyo gihe tumenya ngo iyo dufashe icyaha turamenya urukiko turi bwoherezemo icyo kirego.
So if this is the city of Grand Rapids.
Ni ukuvuga ngo uri mu mujyi wa Grand Rapids.
So you live in Grand Rapids and the crime was committed in Grand Rapids, you call the Grand Rapids Police Department.
Icyaha cyakorewe muri Grand Rapids niho uhamagara polisi ya Grand Rapids niri bugufashe muri icyo cyaha.
And the court you would go to is 61st District Court downtown.
Icyo gihe rero urukiko ruzabigufashamo ni ruriya rukiko rwitwa 61 urukiko rw'akarere ruri muri downtown.
But if you're in the city of Kentwood
Ariko uri muri Kentwood,
and the crime happens in Kentwood,
icyaha cyabereye muri Kentwood,
you call the Kentwood Police.
uhamagara Kentwood polisi yaho.
So sometimes we get a lot of confusion that
Abantu bajya bitiranya ibintu.
I live in Grand Rapids,
Nkaba ndi muri Grand Rapids,
but the crime committed in Oakfield Township in Kent County.
hanyuma icyaha kikabera hariya muri Kent County.
Do you call the Grand Rapids Police?
Ugahamagara polisi yo muri Grand
No.
Oya.
The crime committed in
Icyaha
the
cyabereye
township,
hariya.
so you would call the Sheriff's Department.
Ugomba guhamagara polisi ya hariya.
And then you would go to the 63rd District Court, which is out here by the Beltline.
noneho urukiko ruzaba rureba icyo cyaha
So people get confused.
kuri 63.
So when they do an investigation, they get all the evidence they can.
igihe rero turimo kugenzura ibyaha dushakisha ibimenyetso byose bishoboka
So I use the example in the other room.
tugakora ibizamini
yakoresheje urugero mu kindi cyumba yari arimo.
aho
I did another presentation.
yakoresheje urwo rugero agiye gukoresha urugero rwo yakoresheje mu kindi cyumba igihe yari arimo guperezida
So I get mad at him. I don't like the way you're looking at me.
nshobora kurakaranya nawe
So I punch him in the face.
nkamukubita mu maso
Okay? What do?
wakora iki
Call the police in Grand Rapids, right?
uhamagara polisi yo muri Grande Rapids
So you tell the police he hit me.
ukabwira polisi ngo yankubise
Police talk to me. I say, I didn't hit him.
polisi
I wouldn't do that.
ngo nankubise nkavuga nti
They bring that report down to my office.
hanyuma bakazana raporo muri
What do you think I do with that?
yanjye kugira ngo ngire icyo nkora
If you don't have evidence, you just dismiss them.
I don't know exactly. I don't know. I don't know what to do.
ntabwo mbizi nakora iki nta bimenyetso
But he says, gives them all your names, and you all say, yeah, he hit him, and they bring that down to their office.
baza bati mwabibonye twabibonye bakabimbwira muri
Do I have enough evidence then?
hanyuma ibimenyetso bikabira
So that's why it's important to be honest and get everybody.
niyo mpamvu mbwira abantu ngo muvugishe ukuri ku abantu bose
And like I said, that includes if your medical records, if you go to the doctor,
nkuko nabivuze
Get those to the
bigiye kwa
police.
muganga byavuye ku mpapuro zo kwa muganga
and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for probable cause. That's the standard we have to do.
hanyuma tukareba icyabiteye impamvu yabyo
More likely than not, a crime was committed.
mbese nicyo kintu cy'ingenzi kirebwa impamvu y'icyaha cyakozwe
But even then, even me filing charges, that doesn't end it. That still means it goes to court.
ntabwo ibintu byose bivuze ngo bijya mu nkiko
So I still have a right to say, I'm innocent. I didn't hit him.
uburenganzira bwo kuvuga ngo nta kintu nakoze na kimwe rwose ndi inose
And they have a jury. Then a jury decides that. People from the county, people from the community.
hari icyo bita inteko y'abacamanza bicara bakareba ese iki kintu koko cyagenze gute
A prosecutor would represent him as the victim,
umugenzacyaha nk'uwakorewe icyaha aba hari ngo amuhagararira
and I would have an attorney represent me as the defendant.
hanyuma nkanjye wakoze icyaha nanjye mba mfite umwavo kumpagarariye
So for like an assault, that's a minor misdemeanor crime.
icyo cyaha cyo kurwana na cyaha cyoroheje
That could take 8-9 months to get through the court system.
ni icyaha gifata kuva nk'amezi 8-9 kugira ngo kibe kiri muri sisiteme
Has anybody, this is a courthouse downtown. Has anybody ever been there? Seen it?
hari umuntu wigeze ajya muri ruriya rukiko rwa
okay.
downtown
But that's 61st District Court. The 61st is down at that courthouse for Grand Rapids.
ni urukiko rwa 61 niko rwitwa hano muri Grande Rapids
But this is also the home of 17th Circuit Court.
hari n'urukiko rero rwo rwitwa 17 ni nk'urukiko umurenge rw'iwacu
That's for the bigger crimes. So
ariko
murder,
hari icyaha
rape,
gikomeye icyaha cy'ubwicanyi icyaha gikomeye
those end up down there
cyangwa cyo gufata ku ngufu ni hariya ujya
from all over the county.
ibyo byaha byose byo muri county
And if you go to child support,
ibyaha byo kudatanga
any
itegeko,
family divorces,
abadivorishije
most major things go to the circuit court downtown.
ibyaha biremereye bijya hariya
So these are some of my victim advocates.
aba rero ni abo dufatanya ku buvugizi batanga ku bakorewe ibyaha
So I punched him in the face, right?
namukubise
These ladies would work with him.
nk'ubu namukubise bariya badamu bakorana n'uwakorewe
They would
ibyaha.
reach out and tell him when the court hearing is at to make sure he knows when everything's happening.
bamwegera bakamuganiza bakamubaza uko ibintu byagenze
They would help him make sure he gets the paperwork to the court so he gets paid for any restitution.
hanyuma hanyuma bakamubaza niba hari amafaranga ya depanshije yakoresheje noneho bagakora ku buryo bazayamusubiza.
Because they can make me pay for any doctor bills for punching him.
Kuko niba namukubise azajya kwa muganga yishyura amafaranga.
They will sit in court with him. They will, if you want to go to court and you want to be there and have somebody support you, that's their job.
Bariya abadamu niko kazi kabo, muzajyana ku rukiko bagufashe muri iyo nzira yose yo kujyana urukiko.
So we're trying to help our victims as much as we can to make the court system can be long and confusing.
Bakora ku buryo bwose bagufasha mu byerekeranye n'urwo rugendo rw'urukiko kugeza ibintu bigenze neza.
So their job is to help victims. So this is my phone number, our office phone number, and my email address. And if you call our office, we have language line. So you just need to listen and they'll walk you through and we can get an interpreter so you can talk over the phone right away.